If we do not all join together and unite in this one cause for a short period of time of adopting a masks, what it will lead to is it will lead to the necessity of having to close Texas back down. That should be the last thing that any government wants.
But the worst is yet to come. That's the headline from the governor tonight. He says next week will be the worst for Texas in terms of hospitalizations and deaths. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jordan Williams. Dej has the night off. Governor Abbott also putting out a direct plea to Texans. Follow his mask order or else. He's worried too many of us are not taking the threat from COVID seriously. And he's upset that local governments in some cases are not enforcing his mask mandate. That's why he extended a statewide disaster order today. He says closing everything down again would be the last resort.
We want to make sure we do not lock Texas back down. We want to keep Texas open. Doctors in Texas say that the best way we can slow the spread of the coronavirus while not shutting business down is for people to wear a mask.
Well, here's what he's up against, folks. Days of soaring hospitalizations. Today, for the first time, Texas topped 10,000 patients in our hospitals fighting COVID-19. We're going to dig into some of the local numbers in just a couple of minutes. First, though, let's talk about what school could look like in the face of this health crisis. Today, Port Arthur ISD released its new guidelines, and the changes begin right at the front door of the campus. Students and staff will be required to wear masks. They'll also be having to use hand sanitizer at the door. And folks, they're going to get their temperatures checked and other health screening checked. 12 News reporter Victoria De Leon joins us live tonight to break down the rest of the district's strategy. Victoria.
Well, Jordan, Port Arthur ISD has been working on these plans for months now, but Dr. Mark Portery has mentioned before how quickly things can change. Now, as strict as these guidelines may be, they're saying that we're prepared with worst-case scenario in mind.
In June, Port Arthur Superintendent Dr. Mark Portery made it clear that health and safety trumps everything else. Even if that means strict guidelines, that may be uncomfortable.
We're thinking total safety, and we're thinking worst-case scenario.
Friday, the district released its plans for students and staff to return to school. From the beginning, Dr. Portery remained adamant about requiring masks. Even when the TEA only suggested it, PAISD already had it in place. Now it's officially on paper for this upcoming school year.
So we want to do everything within our power to flatten the curve here in our area as much as we possibly can.
Part of that is social distancing, and the district is committed to doing so at every available opportunity. The movement of students will be limited. Each campus will reduce classroom capacities. Hallways and stairs will be designated to one-way traffic, and furniture in classrooms and common areas will be rearranged to promote social distancing. If someone tests positive, the school will close off the areas heavily used by the individual. If necessary, they'll close the campus for deep cleaning for about 2 to 5 days. During that time, students and staff can switch back to remote learning. But if that becomes a constant thing,
that type of disruption is not good for students. It breaks the continuity of what they are doing.
Earlier this week, Texas State Teachers Association President Noel Candelaria said it would have been more beneficial to stick to completely remote learning.
No child or educator should be in any school building until it is deemed safe.
Now, the district also announced that remote education options will be available for both teachers and students who may not feel comfortable going back to school. You can find a link to their guidelines on our website, 12newsnow.com. In Beaumont, Victoria De Leon, 12 News.
All right, new tonight, State Representative Dade Phelan says it's time to pause STAR testing. He sent this letter to the TEA. Phelan says by not having the test this year, teachers and administrators can focus on the health and safety and the education of students. In part, he said, quote, the difficulty of operating safely and successfully under the threat of COVID-19 will be enough of a high-stakes test for our education system. By the numbers, Southeast Texas hospitalizations shot up again Friday after some pretty big declines Thursday. Our numbers here, 113 inpatient beds in use and 49 people in ICU. If you compare that with Thursday's counts, you see here we went up in both categories, and way over there on the corner, we are way above our 2-week average. Let's go to the graph. Friday's total cases, 142. That's roughly half of what they were on Thursday. So that would appear to be good news. But some of this may come down to when certain data gets released by the health departments. So let's go to the big board. Again, local cases fell Friday. We had 1 new death reported. Statewide, you see these numbers are cases holding just under the 10,000 mark. That's about where we've been all week long. Now, finally, we want to talk about with where we are compared to a week ago. Our total case count has more than doubled in Southeast Texas, up 73% week to week. Well, new tonight, ready for a second stimulus check? Lawmakers have not officially agreed on anything yet. They don't return to session until July 20th. And just because you got one last time doesn't mean you'll get one this go around. They're looking at capping it. This would only be available for those who make under $40,000 a year. There's been a lot of talk about it being between $1,200 and $2,000 for every member of the household, regardless of age. Tonight, 12 News investigates. Texas overpaid more than $32 million in unemployment benefits. We've told you about this, and now the state is scrambling to get that money back. But the Texas Workforce Commission's executive director says you don't have to pay right now. Erica Proffer investigates.
For many of you, this is scary. Bills piling up. So the last thing you need is a collection notice to recoup overpaid unemployment money.
$5,000.
Like what Suzanne Azano got.
From where? From when?
Azano lives off less than $1,000 a month. Social Security disability only goes so far.
I'm on food stamps. I drive a car that's 20 years old, and that's how I live. So
Many of you are just like Azano.
I don't know what to do.
45,000 notices went out recently. So we asked TWC, why now? High unemployment rate, COVID-19 cases. Why not wait?
It's not kind of a now thing. It always happens. Third quarter of 2019, we probably issued in excess of 20,000.
Sure, 20,000 in third quarter, 25,000 fourth quarter last year, 23,000 from January to March. It nearly doubled from April to July.
2.75 million initial claims during the COVID period. Percentage-wise, it's a lower percent.
Could you have waited until maybe everything had opened back up before saying, hey, we need money from you?
We considered that. Now, we've gotten reminded we need to ensure the integrity of the system from the Department of Labor.
This letter sent from the U.S. Department of Labor to Texas claims there have been reports of people abusing the system, showing Congress set aside $26 million to carry out audits, investigations, and warned anticipate significant oversight to safeguard unemployment insurance program integrity.
What would you need to happen to pause collections?
In my opinion, there's really not an action needed to pause collections. They have to pay, but there's no penalty for not paying.
CERNA says interest to a person is never charged unless it's fraud.
We're going to send you a letter for overpayment. If you can, you pay us back. If you can't, you pay us what you can. $50 a month, $50 a week, whatever.
But these letters don't tell you that. Instead, they give you a payment due date and what looks like a payment plan.
The one thing we probably can do better, and us visiting, you and I visiting may help, is tell folks, look, you received a notice from us. It does mean that you owe us back, but you don't need to write us a check right now.
I'm Erica Proffer.